Hi, Soars. This is your girl, Dr. Jackie B. My line name was Greta Garbo, Gigi for short. So that's where the Gigi comes from Greta Garbo. I'm going to review the things that we discussed in our last meeting with Towson University officials. A memorandum of understanding, the first draft of that. And you might want to hit pause and take a moment and load that up so that you can be going over it or print it out as I go through the things that we talked about as we prepare for our next meeting, and started to really fine tune our scholarship and what it's going to be. So the memorandum of understanding does just that. It contains the language for what we say it is, and who's eligible, and how we're going to select these people. So it goes through all of that, and so that's why it was important for us to know what we can say and what we cannot say. So thus the meeting. So if you have that in front of you, the draft memorandum of understanding, the MOU. Just want to go through it section by section of the highlighted things that we did address in our meeting with Brian and Todd from the Office of Institutional Advancement. One of the questions that I had and I pointed out is that in the second sentence, for example, it says it is the intention of the sisters. We might want to change that to say, Sword Wars, alumni Sword Wars of MUMUs. It's very slight, but something we might want to think about in the language to say who we are. All right, so under number 1, it says the name. We do have to come up with the official name. The names that we forwarded to our national treasurer, to Soror Glenn, Soror Abel Breyer, and I, mainly basically said MIMU chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Endowed Scholarship. So we might want to look at reversing the order that you see here on the paper from not Delta Sigma Theta first, but MIMU chapter first. So, and if you have any name ideas, certainly you come forward with them. But and so far, National has said they doesn't see a problem with us using the name or naming it thus so, where we have both MIMU and Delta in the name. And the same thing for whether it's the endowed scholarship and or the operating fund scholarship. This next section, and if yours may be in red if you print it out, and these paragraphs are being established by the donors to do what. And here we were informed, and this would be the message of why we're doing what we're doing. Why are we creating this scholarship? Do we want to say, and it's in honor of our 50th anniversary, we've created this scholarship, and the kind of people that we want to recruit, and what we hope to do with it, and what's the purpose, in alignment with our mission as sorors of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. So we have to draft that paragraph, because that will really say what is it that we're doing, what is this legacy that we are creating at this point in time, and why, and all of the little 5 W's and 1 H's we will put in this paragraph, in this section. So then we go to number 2, the purpose. And the first sentence, the purpose of these funds shall be to provide scholarship support to an active member. And I circle active, and I'll come back to that in a second, of Towson University MIMU chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Now, this is what the university gave to us. So when we first started this conversation, they were not sure if we could even use this language to be this direct, to even say what they said, but said this has been passed to the legal team, and they can say this. Because before they thought they could only say, we could only do it in preference language. So this was a major advancement on our part, as we try to fine tune and target to make sure, if we can, as best as possible, that our funds go to support a MIMU soror. Then the next section that we're going to have to talk about would be our eligibility criteria. So I want to make sure, we have all the parameters for that. And I think we kind of did that. They kind of caution us against making it too narrow and keeping it broad. We know the GPA. Anything we said in here, things that we determine. Is it a 3.0 cumulative GPA? So it was recommended maybe we look at what the criteria is to even become a Delta, and if you meet those qualifications, what is that GPA? But the other thing that I did inquire about was, can it also extend to a graduate student? So this is the conversation that we also have to have. Do we want this line to say full-time undergraduate, sophomore, junior, or senior, or graduate student, a MIMU alumni graduate student who is in good academic standing? They all have to be in good academic standing. So that's something we have to talk about as well. The 3.0 cumulative GPA, we set the GPA. Do we want to ask? Now, the other thing about this section we talked about was how do we get from them what we want in terms of they better exemplify, or they're more advanced, or we see greater demonstration of their points in life of the things that are important to us as a sorority. What have they done in terms of service? What about they might sisterhood, maybe unity in the community. What have you done to advance the community forward and scholarship? Not just your GPA. If you gotten any awards, but they caution us against making it too complicated and discouraging people from wanting to apply. So the discussion was maybe we can have like an addendum, like a one-page application where short answers, whatever. So to give us some greater insight into who the applicants are, because it may be that we may get all 5 MIMU sorors. We have 5 that we have to choose among. That are all great in their own way. And so how do we do that? And this is where we would use the that one-page application to take a look at, how they, what have you done in community service? So beyond, what you've done with Delta in the church, and, even in high school, they're still very, very young. So their high school lives are right, just right next door to them. So, and to who they are. So, but those are the things that we have to talk about, come up with something that will give us a better profile of this person. And if we had to rank them, what's the criteria that we would use to rank them? What's important to us? So all that has to be determined and worked on. The other thing was, after we look at the basic criteria, and we can create an additional little one-page questionnaire or application or short answer, whatever, or checkbox, however we decide to do it. Then we look at when they generate their list. First preference is given to an active member of Towson University, MIMU chapter, Delta Sigma Theta sorority. A second preference could be to a MIMU alumni, that's a graduate student at Towson University. And the third preference could be to a member of any TU chapter of the National Panhellenic Council sorority. I raised a question also about, does it have to be a demonstrated financial need? And it does not have to be. We determine this. We could say first preference could be for someone. We can even have it as a checkbox. Do they have a demonstrated financial need? Yes or no? And we could take that into consideration when we are determining and ranking the students. But I caution us. I was just cautious against, just because you don't have a financial need on paper. 2 things. 1, it doesn't mean that you don't have one, because you based on your parents' income. And 2, why should you be penalized just because maybe your parents have done financially better than others? So, but you meet all the other criteria. So these are things that we have to narrow down and really fine tune in our discussion. Alrighty, so preference, undergrad, second preference, a grad student's third preference, any sorority member of the National Panhellenic Council. If you go to, I'm still in section 2 on the purpose, and go to the next page in that first paragraph. That starts with the program director shall establish a process. We already talking about the process, to select final recipients based on the eligibility criteria and preferences. The question I had was about the next sentence. The program director may renew the scholarship if the recipient continues to meet the minimum eligibility criteria. My question was, does this mean that if someone gets it 1 year, they automatically get it the next year? And the response is, the way this is written, yes. So if we were to award someone the scholarship and they were a junior, they will automatically get it for their senior year, the way this is worded. And the university officials seem to feel that if it's financially need-based, then we might want to keep this in here, because families who want to know that every year they can depend that they can depend on this money every year while their student is matriculating at Towson University. So we know that, reminder that for every $25,000 that we raise, that's about $1,000. So if you want to give out $4,000, then we need to raise $100,000. You want to give out, $8,000. Every $25,000, you give out $1,000. So it's a challenge, but we know we can do this. So it keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps growing. Anyway, and I did also ask the question, what would happen if their total aid exceeds what their cost of attendance, and they said they would get the scholarship and probably take from other areas like loans, so they would not be in debt for loans. A sidebar note for us under 3 funding, I just thought about we might want to think about having some sort of a 5-year campaign to raise some dollar amount of money. Just a thought. Under number 4, endowment administration, kind of trying to ask a question to get some feel as to the cost of this, to the average cost of 1.5%, but we would never really feel it. Then that no money would probably come out of our general fund for this. So with anything that we should need to worry about. Okay. And if you go under the next page, under 4, it continues to the next to last paragraph, that long paragraph. And in this paragraph, you see it says that we will have the Delta Sigma Theta Mu chapter will annually identify a 3-person committee. So we need to put into place a process for making sure that we always have this 3-person committee available. So things that we can talk about. And the recommendation, of course, is the TU will provide de-identified materials for up to 5 current students. So we'll get 5 names. We could probably ask for more. And then we will rank them. The Mimi Review Committee, these 3 sorors, will provide their rank preference of eligible students for the program director, who will consider their feedback. And I didn't like the word consider. Ask, can it be a stronger word such as prioritize? And Brian said you have to pass it by their legal team, because they want to make sure that we're just, I'm surprised we could even put in the language that it's for a Mimu soror. So, but they will look into that, because that's a consider. Seems like even after we give our preferences, that he can just like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm still gonna do what I want to do. So I wanted a stronger word for that. And the only other thing that I did inquire about is under number 7, if something goes wrong, we have to dissolve it, and they talk, and they said they will utilize the remaining funds for a purpose which most nearly identifies our original intent. I want to put in there something about with review from the MIMU oversight review committee, so we will still have some input into what to do with the money that has come from us. So that's about where we are. When we meet on Friday, and have been asked that we meet a little bit later and to respect people that have to travel. And so 6 o'clock, we're going to move it to 7 to make sure people get there on time, and we'll start at 7. Maybe a little bit before in terms of, have a little bit of refreshments and eat a little bit, maybe 6:30. You start with, if you come a little bit early, hopefully. I was thinking about some pizza. So we'll see. So I thank you again for your time. This is quite an effort for us, and this is what we do. We're creating our own legacy for our own Mimu sorors, and it is an exciting time. So I thank you again, and my number, if you need to call me, 443-769-8588. If you on the group email, shoot me an email, and we will answer your questions, trying to keep everything as open as we possibly can, because this is all of us. This is us. This is what we're doing. And, we're trailblazers, we're givers, we're doers. This is who we are. I love you. Let's keep each other in prayer as we journey through life together. Thank you.